We look forward to the Senate's timely consideration of this once-in-a-generation legislation. We stand ready to continue our work together to deliver on the one big, beautiful bill, as President Trump named it himself.
Look, folks, a win is a win, and that's a big win for Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, celebrating justifiably. I mean, from his political point of view, this legislation was hard to put together, and it passed. Doesn't matter if it passed by just one vote. It passed. That's all that matters in the House of Representatives, because you've got to advance this. It was a no-fail proposition for the House Speaker, and he did not fail. That's enough out of me. Let's turn to our reporter panel. Leigh Ann Caldwell, Chief Washington Correspondent for Puck News, and I am a happy subscriber. Juliegrace Brufke, Capitol Hill reporter for 24 Site News. So, Leigh Ann, take it away. Put into context what happened this week, why it matters to Mike Johnson, and why his relationship with Trump solidified this hard-fought victory.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge week for Mike Johnson. Everyone was skeptical that he would not only be able to get it done, but get it done on his self-imposed timeline of before Memorial Day.
Invention.
It was totally frivolous and unnecessary, but he did it, and he got a lot of criticism for creating that deadline. But he knew that you had to vote. The sooner you voted, the easier it is to pass. The longer it takes, the more difficult it gets. But the number one strategic decision that Mike Johnson made, which has benefited him over and over again in these 120 days of President Trump's presidency, is that Mike Johnson has been able to be successful over and over again because he has been able to rely so closely on Trump to help move members and get these difficult things over the finish line. And we saw it in kind of like a masterful performance this week where Donald Trump was on the Hill on Tuesday. He brought in the hardliners to the White House yesterday. Hours later, this thing passed.
Juliegrace, talk about the drama.
Well, because definitely there were some contentious meetings, and even people within Mike Johnson's orbit and leadership world were doubting within the past 48 hours whether this would get over the finish line. And there was a lot of arm twisting up until kind of the final minute there. And I know Freedom Caucus, things got really heated in some of those closed-door meetings between Andy Harris and President Trump, who was kind of calling him an idiot for not voting for the bill. So he ultimately ended up voting present. And we've heard a lot of, I mean, he managed to flip Chip Roy, who was one of the most adamant people on that bill, saying there needs to be a lot more work done in the Senate, which, I mean, he may have lost a little of his own leverage there, but it sounds like a lot of people that are kind of in the same vein of him are pushing for the same things over in the upper chamber.
And Juliegrace, President Trump rolled out the word betrayal and rolled out the word primary. Both have meaning in the Trump world.
Absolutely. And Warren Davidson and Thomas Massie, I mean, he's threatened that with Thomas Massie before, who might have enough of his own brand to be able to weather that. It might be
Kentucky,
a bigger issue for Warren Davidson. And we'll see, I mean, what the Senate sends back and whether they get on board. But it's, yeah, I mean, I think that's something that is definitely a concern for people in those orbits.
And Leigh Ann, talk about the Senate and the issues that are going to divide Republicans there and possibly put them into a contentious relationship. Let's just say for a matter of purposes, folks, that the Senate and the House are always sort of contentious, generally. And that's not an ideological thing. That's just an institutional thing.
Yeah.
But Republicans might find themselves at odds over a couple of three big issues.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing that is going to divide the House and the Senate is this issue of the state and local tax deduction. Of course, to remind our viewers that that is the federal tax relief that you get if you are highly taxed in a high tax state for state and local taxes. So the House Salt Blue State Republicans fought tremendously to ensure that a $10,000 deduction cap got increased, quadrupled. There are no blue state Republicans in the Senate who care about this. This is the last thing that they want in this bill. So that is going to be and that is, having this deduction in there is why Mike Johnson can get it through.
One, it's costly, and two, they would say it incentivizes high taxes in high-tax blue states.
Yeah, absolutely. And they say the rest of the country is paying to subsidize these few high-tax blue states. So that's going to divide the House and the Senate, and that's going to be a huge issue. But also the Senate, they have different ideas about Medicaid. They actually want more cuts to Medicaid in some instances. They want more savings in Medicaid, I should say. We'll see how that plays out. And even in the Inflation Reduction Act, these are these renewable energy tax credits. They're a little bit bit more skeptical of getting rid of many of those tax credits. And so Medicaid's going to be an issue, could divide the Senate Republicans. The Inflation Reduction Act can divide Republicans.
And Juliegrace, how do you assess the Senate schedule and some of these fault lines that Leigh Ann has just outlined?
Well, it's interesting to Leigh Ann's point. I mean, these New Yorkers, they're already kind of trying to lobby over on the Senate side to kind of get that over the finish line.
New York, New Jersey, California, those are the big three.
Yeah, so
throw Illinois in there, but only a couple of those.
I've spoken to a lot of Republicans that kind of speculated that they were fighting so hard in the House that when they lower it, that they'd still be able to kind of get a win, knowing that they'd have to get it back through the House. We'll see if they were successful kind of in that endeavor there. But, I mean, the Medicaid's going to be a huge thing. I know John Thune's already whipping the House version to kind of take the temperature of where things are and what they're going to need to change.
Interestingly, Josh Hawley, Republican of Missouri, Democrats have said has more critical and on-point talking criticisms of those Medicaid reductions in the House bill than Senate Democrats do.
He's been very adamant about it, and I mean,
he's going to be someone to watch.
Absolutely, and I mean, they're working with slim margins over there, so it's going to be a fine. They're going to be walking a tightrope and trying to get all of them on board. And I think July 4th, it's going to be. I mean, the Memorial Day deadline seemed to kind of out of reach, so we'll see if John Thune can pull it off. So, a lot to watch.
Leigh Ann, this feels to me like something that will be resolved before the August break, not the July 4th.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, maybe the Senate can pass something before July 4th, but then it has to go back to the House. They have to, of course, pass the same bill. So, yeah, I think August is the more official timeline, especially since, remember, they have that debt limit they have to address, and that deadline's in August.
Leigh Ann Caldwell, Juliegrace Brufke, thank you so much. Appreciate it.